And there's we need to get some good details.
It is 6:32. I'll call this work session of the mayor and council to order. First, we'll go over our regular business and public hearing agenda. Tonight, we have a copy of our announcements. We'll have Cub Scout Pack 568 here to do the pledge to the flag. And we will be recognizing Jacob. I have to get a pronunciation of his last name before we get in there. For his receipt of the Marshall Scholarship from the United Kingdom. We also received a copy of the minutes. Does anybody have any questions about the minutes?
Yes, I do. The meeting that was held on November 8th, it says here that at 8:53 we recessed into exec session, then the meeting reconvened at 9:26 p.m. I think we need to amend that it was reconvened by the mayor pro tem, because below there it shows a vote, and the vote was 4 in favor, 0 opposed, with mayor and Councilman Sabah were not present. So I think we need to clear that up so that we know that when we've been back into public hearing, there's only 4 people present, and that's why it was a 4 vote.
It says that though.
I'm sorry?
It says that by the vote. It says it was a 4-0 vote.
Okay, but it doesn't say, when did you leave? It doesn't say that. It says the meeting was reconvened at 9:26 p.m.
Okay.
Just need to clear it up.
But anything that happened in exec session, you can't publicize, so.
Not,
Right, but you're saying, when did I leave? I left here, it was,
I didn't say when you left. I just said that I reconvened the meeting at 9:26, that's all I'm saying.
okay.
Mayor, if I may, I'm not sure if this is the right forum, about the same topic. I agree with the minutes, but I'd like to make sure that it's on the record that I do not support the vote.
So we will postpone the minutes, so that they can be amended until the next agenda. I concur with Councilman Sabag. I think the vote after the meeting was a vote against the Georgia Open Meetings and Open Records Act, because it was not there was no published agenda for that vote, and it was not the call of the special call meeting. But that's an issue for another day. We have no invited guests tonight. Our committee department reports. We have Ms. McAloon from the stat here tonight. We then have our consent agenda. Does anybody have any objections or questions on the 2 documents on the consent agenda? The first one is the JRM contract for the Snellville days, and we received that a couple of meetings ago, made some changes, and that's back on the consent agenda tonight. And then the contract with the horse farm on the property next to Baker's Rock. They've conceded to all of our agreements. Is that right?
Correct.
So
And we very clearly laid out what they will be doing and their responsibility in the lease hold inside the fence line, so we're good.
There was one change that they requested we make that we didn't, so there could be a kickback on it, and it's just the indemnity provision. Their lawyer took it out, we put it back in, and it's a standard requirement. So.
Any questions on that? Any objection to anything on the consent agenda? That then will bring us to our public hearing. We'll have the first reading on the growler amendments. Anything you need to tell us about that?
I don't know. Is there anybody who has any questions about it?
I hate the name.
You know, I can't make that up. You know that.
It's just a first reading, so if I can have a motion to waive the first reading and place it on our January 14th agenda. That will then bring us to our new business. We have the intergovernmental agreement with Gwinnett County for the, I don't know, 800, how do you say it, megahertz system? Chief or Bush, you want to give us an update on that?
I think that the chief did the overview of that, and it's really just a housekeeping matter following up on the SDS agreement.
Yeah, once the SDS was completed, the county required a new intergovernmental agreement and they submitted it, and I had some questions that I submitted to Tony, but based on the responses that he made, I think it's fine to go ahead and proceed with the agreement. My concerns were about the 2 radio frequencies that we own, but that's actually not a portion of this agreement, so there's no reason to include the language that I had recommended. And the other thing is there's the indemnification, that I feel like they should indemnify us as much as we indemnified them, but however, according to Tony, one government can't require an indemnification against the other. It's not lawful, even though the county insists that it be in the contract, so. I don't know if I've stated that properly.
That's exactly right. We fight constantly with the county requiring indemnification from the city. I mean, it's not just this city, it's every city. And there's a Supreme Court case directly on point that says cities can't do that. It's a void. And we keep suggesting that they take it out. They refuse to take it out, but.
And I know Councilmember Kraus had a couple of questions. I don't know if it was on those items or not, but.
No, I'd like to address the chief on just a couple of questions. On the city's responsibilities under 3,
Okay,
A, is all this equipment already installed?
yes,
Okay, on B, is that completed?
on B,
Yes, it's 120 days advance notice regarding the number of radios and devices.
well, at this point, we wouldn't be adding any radios other than what we already have, so I do think that's an awful long lag time for them to have to get notice if we were to add a radio, but,
Okay, we're compliant with that.
but we are in compliance now, yeah.
Okay, under F, I'm just curious, what other purpose could this system be used for?
I guess we could use it like a telephone. It actually does have the capability for some of the radios to act like cell phones.
Okay.
It's so expensive, we would never choose to do that,
Mhm.
but I presume that would be the other function that it could have.
Is there any possibility somebody could get a hold of it for CB usage?
No, because of the
That's
800
secure.
trunking, there's no CB radio that would function on those bands.
Okay. And G, everybody's in compliance, everybody's been educated, informed, we're okay?
Right. Mhm.
For mutual responsibilities, A, have you selected a representative?
Yes, we have a representative.
Can I ask who that is? Thank you.
Uh-oh, we're in trouble.
Okay, I think that was, and after 7 years, we can renew.
Yeah, now this is just for the operation of the system. We also have membership in the committee that does the oversight for the E911 centers. And I'm one of the representatives on that, along with Chief Johnson, and then the county has 3 representatives on it.
And it's 7 years because that's when the SDS agreement expires.
Okay, so under 6, it's in effect for 7 years, and then it says the party may renew this agreement.
I'm sorry, is what?
6, termination. In that section, it says a party may renew this agreement for an additional 7 years.
That will be up to what happens with the SDS. This is all
Okay.
a result of the SDS
So they-
agreement, so
We could end in 7 years?
we may, it depends on what happens, we ended up in a lawsuit last SDS, so you never know what will happen this in 7 years.
So it's not an automatic renewal, even if we apply?
Right. Because it all is contingent upon us having that intergovernmental agreement with the service delivery strategies.
How long have we been on this system, Chief?
20 years, probably.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
I'm happy. Thank you, Chief.
If the system were to go down, then all of us, all the cities and all the county would have difficulty with it. If our 2 frequencies were withdrawn, the county would have difficulty operating the system too. So it's mutually beneficial for all of us to work together on this.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for the chief? That brings us to B, consideration on the revised emergency operations plan for Gwinnett County and its municipalities.
That is very much a housekeeping matter, where we have participated in that process with the county. I think Lieutenant McKinney has been our representative He's looked that over and approved that, so it basically is just as I said, a housekeeping update that we need to adopt tonight to turn back into the county.
Any questions? Bid for the purchase of a 2013 sports utility vehicle for the police department. Chief, this is something we budgeted for in the 2013 fiscal year
Correct.
budget?
It's the fifth vehicle that's budgeted, and it's for a sport utility vehicle, and we recommended the purchase of the low bid, which is a Ford Explorer.
And is this within the budgeted amount?
Yes.
Anybody have any questions for the chief on that? Engineering services. Who wants to take that
We
one?
really, we put an internal committee together consisting of Mr. Davis, Ms. Arnold, myself, and Ms. Johnson. And have been through the process of sending out an RFQ, sifting through, I think, 11 responses, came down to interview 5 different engineering firms. And this is to assist us in basically on-call engineering services. Without a dedicated construction manager, there are going to be some projects where we're going to need some assistance. And of the 5, I talked to all of them. They all did a very good job in their presentations. I think they raised a lot of issues. But the 4 of us on the committee, we were unanimous in that the interview with Clark Patterson, as opposed to the other 4 firms, we heard very few, if any, no's to our questions. No, we can't do that. No, we don't do that. No, we don't have that capability. Clark Patterson is a wide-ranging, very multi-tasking firm that can provide every engineering service that we need. And our recommendation is to enter into this contract with Clark Patterson. That is not to say that we will not need other outside engineering services. I told all of the other interviewed firms, they all helped themselves. They all made it a little clear in my mind as the new guy what they could do, where their best capabilities were, and down the road we'll know if we've got a project that Clark Patterson's overseeing that needs design work, that we can farm that out. So it's been a very positive process for me, and I think the committee and the city as a whole, but this is where we have come down unanimously as a recommendation to enter into an agreement with Clark Patterson for on-call engineering services.
Any questions?
And this is strictly as needed.
Yes,
If we don't ever use them, we don't ever pay them.
that's correct.
Okay.
And we have, in their rates were, you could cover all the rates that we received with a blanket.
Any other questions? Okay. Consideration action on award for the vacuum sewer truck. This is the truck that I saw the demo on before, and this is to authorize us to actually lease it. Anything, Day, or what you want to add to it?
I mean, Vector was the low bid. We will be leasing this. This is to enter into a contract, so the vendor can go ahead and start making the truck. We'll do the paperwork with GMA. The lease terms, this year we budgeted, I think, $62,000 for the annual lease. The lease will be $4,000 or $5,000 less than that. And I think rates may have even come down a little bit more. So it's within the budget. Over the 4-year term of the lease, we would pay about $10,000 in interest. We can pay it off anytime we want to. I mean, that lease pool is owned by the cities.
What's the residual to buy out at the end of the lease? Do we have a residual figure on?
No, I mean,
The truck?
it's,
Is it figured out to a 0 residual?
yeah. So, I mean, it's, and we will bring that paperwork back to you also. We'll have the lease to enter into with GMA and the pool.
Butch, on the recommendation line of your letter says that the price is $219,598, and just to scroll down below a little bit, the Environmental Products of Georgia is the company that you recommend.
Mm-hmm.
That's 219,504,000. I just wanna make sure the difference is not, the difference is between 219,598,
$94 difference.
$94 difference.
It would be I'm asking you to enter into the contract amount, so it would be 219,504.
Okay, so that's what's on the letter.
They liked us so much, they gave us a $94 cut.
Good work.
Any other questions? Okay. The annual paving contract, staff was asking us to approve E.R. Snell for the list of paving projects we were provided. Anything you need to add? Okay.
No, we're very happy that they, came in low. We know the type of work that they do, and they've always been very cooperative. If we've needed them to go back for any reason, they did. So.
They were about $30,000 under the second low bid.
Will this all get done in 2013?
Yes, it will. It'll be done before the end of June.
Oh, that would be great.
Because it's the 2013 budget
Fiscal
year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions? Then I'm putting forth Gina Foster's name for the Evermore Community Improvement District. Does anybody have any questions about that?
I put in an email to her asking about her business and if it was located in the CID district, but I haven't heard back. So.
She does not have a business in the CID district, which isn't a requirement. Gary Lafferty's was our previous board representative, and he didn't have a business in the CID district.
I didn't suggest it was just a
I'm
question.
just finishing, please let me finish, Councilman Howard. She does, however, live in Nob Hill, which is a neighborhood that has been instrumental in the access road debate for the 78 CID district. So she does have an interest in the CID district, although it be residential and not business.
I asked her the question, I'll wait on her to answer it.
Does anybody have any other questions? Okay, we will move on then to our work session agenda. Smoking in the park. You all received a memo from that. The signs, the non-smoking signs, Ms. Lisa here, are being placed next week.
Yes.
And so, since we already have the ordinance, we're gonna ask for an update back maybe January 28th after those signs are in place to see if they've been helpful, if we need to take any other action. Is that agreeable?
Sure.
Not agreeable to council? Economic Development Commitment Statement, you all received a copy of that in your packet. Eric and Butch had come up with the original statement, and then the implementation committee had suggested some changes, and so Eric has emailed us out the change statement. I will be putting that on an agenda if any council members have any suggestions or changes they'd like to make. I'll be putting it on the January 14th agenda, asking y'all to approve it. That was in the Market Street report back. One of the first steps they suggested we take was to create a commitment statement.
Along that line, there's just two statements in, I spoke with Eric about this last week, there's two statements in there that I have a problem on. One says that the city is to create wealth. I don't think the city is to create wealth. And the other one is that the city will create jobs. I don't think the city can or should create jobs unless it's for.
It doesn't say the city, it says the city will support and encourage policies that will create jobs and create wealth.
Well, maybe it's a different issue on that. I'm not quite mine. It says it would create jobs and create wealth.
Right, but it says create jobs and create wealth, but if you read the beginning of the sentence, it says we will support and encourage policies and programs which create jobs and create wealth. You have to read it all together.
What is the purpose of this? It's kind of like stating the obvious, and it's not, I think the verbiage needs a lot of help.
Well, if you have suggestions that you want to make, we're happy to hear it. Like I said, the Market Street Committee, I can't remember the guy's name, not Matthew Custer.
Mac Holiday.
Mac Holiday recommended that this be one of the first steps we take in implementing our marketing initiatives, and so that's what we're complying with the Market Street report back and taking this step and embracing our commitment.
And I agree this should be the first step. I just don't believe that, I agree with David that I thought we were just discussing it tonight, but we can submit our
I mean, if you wanna
Or
give some
changes to it, we'll
suggestions
be
and
glad to.
ask staff to
Yeah.
put that together, but I think it'd be easiest for everybody to email those suggestions.
We'll do that.
Options to address the lower Johnson Lake Dam, Councilman Sabag or Butch?
This is, I think everybody received this on Friday. It's an issue that is of great importance to everyone. We have been wrestling with it for quite some time now. And what I've tried to do is take all of the comments and the input that we received in the town hall meeting and other calls and written documents, and to distill everything into 3 clear-cut, cogent potential actions on the part of the council to stir action on this issue. And I hope this starts some discussion. And I think it's important that everybody know, the folks from Summit Chase and everybody else here, that you have to have certain assumptions when you talk about taking action on a problem like this. And mine were pretty simple. Number 1, doing nothing is no longer an option. Number 2, the cost should be shared among as many residents or beneficiaries of the lake as possible. Number 3, the Summit Chase HOA, through the exclusive nature of their lake proprietorship, has the greatest obligation of all parties. Number 4, the city, due to the prescriptive ownership of the roadway over the dam and other development actions, should be a participant in the funding of the repairs. And number 5, the total budget. I took the Carter Engineering estimate, added a contingency and construction CPI, and the total budget I have that I've run all these numbers on is $96,396. Remember, the original estimate was $85,685. I felt like we needed a contingency as well as a small CPI in there. And the 3 options that I'm putting out on the table for your consideration. If you remember, the last time we discussed this, before the town hall meeting, we looked at a map that Clark Patterson, I believe, put together, which showed the drainage basin. Showed very clearly the line and all of the residents above the, I guess, everything to the south of this line, more or less to the north, falls into the Big Haynes reservoir and drainage basin. Everything up here falls into this lake, and I use that to identify basically a larger group of people, which would be impacted by option 1. And that is an assessment of all stormwater beneficiaries, all of the residents and property owners inside the city that would benefit from that lake and have benefited from that lake for stormwater use. And those numbers, I think I sent out a map with these various dots on there, and that larger group comes to about 371 parcels. And the one assumption, if you remember, that I talked about was that we did have a responsibility to do work under that roadway. Because if nothing else, I feel like we have prescriptive ownership of that road. And there are, the estimate for slip lining that pipe is $275 a foot. And basically there's 115 feet of that pipe underneath that road, and that comes to
37,125.
Is it 37,125? Well, actually, I think it's 30,800. Well, that includes going all the way to the riser. What I did, I came up with a $30,800 figure, the 112 feet by times the 275. So I didn't take it all the way to the riser. I just took it what was under our roadway. So that 30,800, I took off of the 96,396 to come to that 65,596. $65,596 would be the responsibility of, in option one, all of the stormwater beneficiaries, divided by and that's 371 parcels, 371 property owners. If it's a one-time assessment, $176.81, spread over 2 years, $88.40. We aren't putting any interest in there. So that was one. Two, speaking to the exclusive nature of the lake proprietorship over time, number two is an assessment of only HOA members, which narrows down. You go from 371 to approximately 220. I think, Pat, that was the last number that I had. And if you went by the same numbers, the total budget minus our share of the pipe under the road, and you divide that 220 into the 65,596, you come to 298.16 one-time assessment, or 149.08 over 2 years. As you know, some of the discussion basically centered on some of the comments we got were, I guess, less gratuitous towards the city and our responsibility. And a lot of people felt like we should not be directly involved in the repair for the lake. And I thought as a third option that the mayor and council would like to have more of an arm's length type of option. And number three, we would incent and direct the HOA to take the action on their own, and the incentive would be basically co-signing a note. Incent them to go out and find a loan through a bank to borrow on the best terms possible the money necessary. Once again, we're stepping up to the plate to the tune of almost $31,000. We're still looking at that 65,596 budget responsibility. This time, it would be the HOA responsibility through that note, which we would basically co-sign and guarantee, and allow them to complete the work. We would pay for our share of the piping underneath the roadway. This is, I feel like there are going to be some legal issues that in wording and in the contract. We've got to make sure that we get value for our backing of the note, and that would have to be worked out through the attorney's office. But I feel like this is something that, as I said, more of an arm's length type of decision where we incent the HOA to take action and do this. We're there, we're assisting, we are stepping up to the plate, as I said, and taking what I think is our fair share of the responsibility of the project. And it's just done a slightly more of an indirect way for the city. So I wanted to start this discussion. I think we need to take the next step as quickly as possible. There are a lot of people affected by that lake. We do have, we have an interest, and we certainly have, I think, some responsibility. It is that classic free rider problem where citizens who don't have direct responsibility, they turn to the local government, the state government, the federal government for some assistance to get action started. And I wanted to put these options on the table for you.
Out of the three options that you just listed here, which is the fastest one to get remedy to this problem?
I'm not sure there is a fastest, Mike. I think there's probably it would take more time for the HOA to go out and seek a loan, maybe. But at the same time, we've got work to do in setting up the assessment on the first two options. So probably going to be about the same.
Well, the latter option, I mean, based on reading it, it has a lot of legal wordings. I think these are the words you said, and plus the fact that there's an assessment thing that's not really 100% clear. And how do you even assess the homeowner association, assuming they don't pay and pay the note on the loan?
I mean, we fall back, there'd be an immediate assessment. It'd be, you know, number two with getting there in slightly a circuitous way. I mean, we'd still get to the assessment. You'd still be placing that responsibility on the HOA members.
The city's responsibility is for the road. We don't need a lake to fix the road.
And I know there are a lot of issues there. It's just, when you look at prescriptive ownership, I mean, we've been driving over that roadway for how long? A long time. In the development, note that I put in there, we also permitted the houses, out on the other side.
But again, we don't need a
As
lake.
lakefront houses.
You need drainage, you need stormwater containment. And how do you go back to other people and say, we're gonna do the lake here, but your lake doesn't qualify because of this, that, or whatever?
There again, I guess there are two other options that are unspoken here. One, don't do anything. Just walk away and leave things the way they are. Do the work that you need to, that you feel like you need to maintain the structure of our roadway. And then the other option is to do it all. Go in there on behalf of, you know, just take city funds and just do the work, which I think you have, there are a lot of problems with, like you're speaking to.
Well, I think our responsibility is